Do you ever feel like you have more to offer this world? Like you have unboxed talents and a potential the world just hasn't seen yet? Guess what? You do. Get ready to step out of your comfort zone and unleash your full potential. This is The Jay Best Show, the podcast dedicated to helping you become the best version of yourself, bringing you inspiring stories, insightful discussions, and actionable strategies that'll help you conquer life's toughest challenges. And now, here's your host, Jay Best.
What's up, digital family? I hope you've all been well, and welcome to episode 1 of The Jay Best Show. Today, I'm going to talk about life's most precious commodity, and that's time, and how our perception of time dictates how we move and live our life. You know, I remember back many years ago, thinking back to my childhood and even teen years, right, about how slow time felt. You know, a week felt like a month. A month was a lifetime, right? You know, and as I got older and into my career and family with kids, life exponentially got faster. I find myself saying at the end of the day, damn, I didn't have enough time to finish X or to do Y. My days start earlier now, 5 a.m. usually. Nights are not as long compared to my childhood. You know, when you're younger, you can stay up a lot longer. But now a week feels like a second, and a month feels like a week. Life moves quicker when you're busy, right? I personally thrive in controlled chaos environment. I think better under pressure. I don't think it's necessarily the best approach because I'm sure that increases stress, almost living in a state of stress, if you will. But pivoting back to time, there are so many folks with amazing dreams or who've created unbelievable inventions or new ways of thinking, but because they feel they don't have enough time in a day, they'll never bring those inventions, ideas to life. Les Brown talks about the graveyard being the richest place in the world, how it's full of inventions and ideas that never come to life. And think about this for a second on a tombstone. In between your birth and your death, there's a dash, and that dash represents time. The time that you've had on this earth, you've had complete control of your perception of life and time. The way you think is essentially the most critical factor in driving your happiness, right? When it comes to your dreams and time, you may feel like you're too late. You may even have negative people around you doubting you. Understand timing is perfect. Even if you feel like it's not happening right now, it may seem like you're too late on getting started, or you've been, procrastinated for too long, or that you haven't even been consistent. When you start, it will be the perfect time. Like take me, for example, with the Jay Best Show. This was not an overnight decision. This has been countless years in the making. I originally bought my camera, lighting years ago. But because I wanted to do like fitness film content, I was an avid gym goer and wanted to become a fitness influencer. And actually even compete in men's physique bodybuilding. I trained and was actually even in shape to compete, but I never filmed, right? I was never consistent with filming. Consistency for me personally has always been my biggest struggle, but like that's another topic for another day. But I always think I was truly passionate about it, just not about that piece. And it gets complex in the end. And so it was something that I always was just it was a short-term passion, and we'll talk about short-term and long-term time as we move on. But later on, I wanted to start another podcast, so I bought the mic and the interface and software, and guess what? I did absolutely nothing with it. Items were literally just collecting dust. And the reason you guys are watching and listening to these videos today is really just 2 reasons. First, shout out to my wife, Whitney, who's always really kind of just like held me accountable. And I'm not talking about in a way like, oh, okay, honey, maybe one day you'll create something. No, hell no, that's not her. It was more like she's been with me for almost 20 years, and all I've done is build and create things, but I've never released it or seen it through. As bad as everyone hates to hear how they're not living up to our full potential, sometimes we have to hear that, right? And secondly, for the first time, it was a realization that, she was only griping and complaining about wanting more from me, out of me, for me to reach my best and full potential, pulling the best version out of myself. That's tough. And how amazing that is if, if you think about it, how she has to be to want that from me. And on the other side, it wasn't anything like, Jay, you're not talented. It was more like, you are talented and you just need to, you know, get your shit together and release it, right? And to me, this accountability, made me realize and feel obligated, to keep going, and to see this through. And me doing this is going to hold me accountable moving forward. And talking about time, there's several ways to think about it, but I really just break it down into two, right? I really break it down into short term, or the right now, and the long term, like thinking about like investments and doing something now and benefiting it, getting something later from it, even more from the original investment. I think most people, we live and operate in the short term. We live in instant gratification. Perfect example, think back years ago. We used to order items off of the internet and be okay with waiting 2 weeks for shipping time, right? Amazon comes along, trailblazing the digital space, and just quenching consumers' desire for that instant gratification. Now they have 2-day shipping, and now it's an expectation for everybody to have 2-day shipping, right? We don't spend near enough time focusing on the long term. Well, some do, right? And there's a strong correlation to their lifestyle and their ways of thinking. But most of us, when making decisions, we don't even consider long-term impacts. We want the right now. I'm going to mention a few areas of investments in your life, right? Not just financial, but a few others. They all relate back to your perception of time and happiness. So please understand, while I'm asking these questions, I'm also asking myself the same questions, and I always do. I live, in a state of learning, and just because I'm a parent or reached a certain level of success or a certain age, I still have a desire to learn. And it makes me a better person, a better version of myself and for others. So, the first one is financial investments. Does your money leave as fast as you get it? Even if you make more, you naturally find ways to spend more. Learning how to make your money work for you and getting the most out of your money can literally change your life. It can change you from scrambling to come up with bill money to have bills auto drafted out of a separate billing account, right? And let me tell you, there's no feeling like you investing your money into something and later being able to get even more back. It's just that feeling of accomplishment. The next is physical investment. Are you living, finding time in your day to prioritize working out? Like, real talk, like, what I've learned about time, when I feel good, it makes my day go quicker. I'm in a better mood. I feel better. When I don't work out, my body feels off. I feel more negative. You can even develop a complex about yourself. And just keep in mind, it takes more energy to be negative than it does to be positive. So now you're impacting your body in even further ways, and you don't even realize it. Even walking 30 minutes daily to get your heart rate up and body moving does wonders for your heart, for your health. Your body will thank me later, trust me. Um, uh, we have to hit on the financial and physical aspects, right? We've hit on those. So now let's move over to like spiritual investments, right? Whether you believe in a higher power or not, I think we all can agree that most people, when life is good, they feel like they're in control. They have it under wraps, and maybe don't even pray. Like, that's not even that's them. That's their business, right? And they're managing their life to the beat of their own drum, right? But as soon as a tragedy happens, soon as some shitty circumstance happens, right? And I wish that on nobody, but we always find ourselves calling on a higher power, right? And so I think the biggest call out here is you need to give thanks even when things are going great. Trust me, I make a few moves and think I'm the shit, but I always need to keep it in perspective, right? And so the next is, relationship investments. How do you treat people? Are your interactions with people transactional, or do you develop a true relationship where both parties benefit? We're all on this planet for a limited time, and we will develop relationships, situationships, all kind of ships, right? And how we treat people will dictate what we get back from them. So be genuine and intentional in your relationships. Don't feel like you have to force anything either. Like, I used to call my brother every day to make sure, we stayed in close in our adulthood. We, really didn't have much in common or things to talk about, but it still made it, like, I still made the effort. I remember I stopped calling and didn't hear from him for a few months. And when he finally called, he started the conversation about how he hasn't heard from me And I immediately like stopped him, like, yo, bro, like the only reason that we've been talking is because I called every single day. And we laughed it off. There's no bad blood. But you know, the most important thing to realize there is don't waste your time thinking that you need to like keep something together that actually needs to break so it can build back even stronger, right? Next is like mental investments, right? Finances, physical well-being, spiritual well-being, relationships you have with people and loved ones all impact your mentality and how you think. And those can be impacted by your mental investments, right? Like, have you ever made a mental investment? Done something that will like help you mentally in your future? If you have, drop a mental investment in the comment. I think the biggest thing is, we help people grow through support. The last thing that I quickly want to touch on is really just stay focused and stay in your lane. Recognize the real is real, even if it comes from someone else. Sometimes it comes from a place of love, from folks, but you may not even realize it. Think about how you view time. And if you're thinking about long term, just as much as you think about instant gratification, life is going to go to the next level, man. Until next time, peace. Thanks for watching the Jay Best Show.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Jay Best Show. You're officially one step closer to becoming your best self. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast and send it to someone who needs to hear it. For more information or to connect with Jay, reach out on Instagram at The Jay Best Show or on the web at www.thejaybestshow.com. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.